like.
Wasn't that from a good professor from out Midwest, I believe, that was trying to build that property at that time, develop that property?
See, you go back a long way. You know these things. Yeah. It was, I think, somewhat distantly, but it was a very real proposal that was before us.
Oh, yes.
And that engendered such organizations like Cortland Watch, which sprung out of the fact that Scallon or the Hill Point property seemed to be very intrusive into really a suburban community.
Sure.
And Cortland Watch grew up and still exists today. And in fact, I found my early community involvement through that organization.
And then naturally, as you kind of cast that first die or mold, and then it made it just easier because you already knew the plan, and this is how you go ahead and do it. And with the acquisition, whether it was through county, state, or other grants that are out there, we were able to muster up all the whatever necessary assets or
to acquire it.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a partnership among Westchester County, the state of New York, Scenic Hudson, as I said. And Mr. Ginsburg, who owned it at the time, even chipped in some money at the very end. And of course, the citizens of Cortland.
Sure. So good. All right, traffic. Now, we've heard about, we started, I believe, what was it called, the North Quadrant Study. Now I don't even know if it's been renamed since then, but there's always been the talk of the traffic between, I believe it's the Yorktown, Cortland, and Peekskill corridor of 20235 connecting to the Bear Mountain Parkway.
Right.
Where is that? Where do we stand with that to this day?
Well, my fellow board members kind of laugh when that's brought up because they know that starts my blood pressure going a bit. And if they want that to happen because they're bored, they'll mention something called Sustainable Development Study, which I think might be the inheritor of the Northern Quadrant Study, at least in terms of how it evolved. And a Sustainable Development Study has been going on, I think, 11 years now. We're losing track of when it actually got launched in Yorktown Town Hall with elements of New York State Transportation, DOT, and Westchester County.
Yeah, it's kind of that black hole. It started, but no one knows where it is now. And you look up, and it's somewhere up there, but you don't know where it stands right now.
Yeah, and actually, we had as it's gone over the years, it's had a lot of preliminary studies and a lot of what we call blue lines on a map. One being a bypass road at Route 6 between Cortland and Yorktown, and another being the regeneration of the Bear Mountain Parkway.
Right.
And in fact, just recently, the three boards of Cortland, Peekskill, and Yorktown met and decided that we either want to see something come to a fruition with regard to real plans that we can present to our various constituents, or let's cut it off and say this really doesn't work. So we did the subcommittee thing, and as we speak, I, for instance, am on a subcommittee with Drew Claxton and Nick Bianco. Nick's in Yorktown, of course.
Drew's in Peekskill, yes.
And we're talking about the tentative proposal launched by DOT with regard to the Bear Mountain Parkway, and there's a few other subcommittees, one to address the bypass and another to do something else. The intent of the study started out very well, that if one could share services, and you've heard that term a lot recently, and one could do regional planning, which is always the goal of people above the local level, then you might work out something very well. Unfortunately, I don't think the necessary consensus was ever built in.
So do you think right now where strictly where it's relegated right now is just the Bear Mountain Parkway? In other words, was there talk of one time where I thought there was from the Taconic Parkway building a secondary lane on 20235 to connect to the Bear Mountain Parkway? Is that off the table right now? Or
no,
is it still
it's
on?
not on the table, but it's, as I said, that blue line, and it's hardly anything more than that.
So it's been drawn in, but really we don't know where that stands.
Yeah, we on Cortland pushed for, I'd say, a revitalization or a safety improvement at a Bear Mountain. As you know, it's 4 lanes, kind of doesn't slope well. It doesn't have a center median. And we think there's a lot of accidents that happen there that should not happen. And basically everyone agrees that the road was built for a 1960s, suburban environment and not really handling the commuter traffic it does today. The egress at Route 9 and the egress up by the bowling alley on 202, both are single lanes that throttle traffic in the morning. So we're looking to see if we can come up with a you know, a wish list of what we want with regard to what these agencies can study. DOT has already proposed under the Sustainable Development aegis that they actually reduce the number of lanes on the Bear Mountain Parkway.
Oh, really?
From 4 to 2 with a truck climbing lane up the hill. Oh. And they also seem to agree, and Peekskill has been a strong supporter of this, although not Cortland, of allowing trucks on the Bear Mountain Parkway.
Right.
So therein lies our dilemma is what to do. I think I could be in favor of trucks or a single lane without a trucks, but I can't be in favor of trucks in a reduced version of the Bear Mountain. I also think that's rather, you know, short-sighted to reduce the Bear Mountain and then realize that that road will never change, will not change for another 40 years.
Right. So there would be an expansion, I mean, a possibility could be just an expansion of the existing roadway to make it just more travelable in a sense, that because it is tight spaces, so especially some of those, the terrain is a very hilly terrain, it's sharp turns.
That's right.
It narrows in a couple of spots, so it is dangerous in that sense too. So, you know, those are probably the factors you're going to be looking at.
So we're looking at it, as I said, these subcommittees that are composed of council people are really looking to say, okay, let's see if we can determine which plan we think best serves the needs of our community.
Is there a timeline that they've been given, or like, you know?
Well, the subcommittees are going to be meeting through the summer. We've given ourselves a timeline of meeting September or October and coming forth with some viable programs.
Alternatives or solutions.
Now, after that, and there's a number of people out there wondering that, you know, next year they'll see a spade in the road or something. Bear Mountain Parkway might get some attention, particularly with regard to a few of the interchanges, I'd say in a year or 2 or 3 years, but some of the ideas that we're talking about now, DOT admittedly says is 5 years plus, and the Route 6 bypass that's often talked about to avoid the hill going up through, you know, Mohegan Lake.
Right.
That's probably 2 generations away.
Sure,
so there's nothing I would get too excited about in the near term. However, this is the appropriate thing to do.
You're not going to see any excavators tomorrow working on these roadways.
No, I think, in fact, isn't it true that they'll be doing the bridges in Peekskill next spring?
Oh, yes. Well, our previous segment was we had the mayor from the city of Peekskill on, and she said that as of now, just between the Metro North impact, the parking impact, the footings for the bridgeway that'll be the new one is going to be, they're meeting with DOT as we speak, plus the city planners and everything in order to try to, because they said it's going to be, talk about a bottleneck, they're going to bring that down to 1 lane. And so it'll impact either the city of Peekskill or that area specifically, so there's a lot at hand for them. And they're talking about their groundbreaking is supposed to start very soon, you know, like within the next 2-3 months. So and you know, that could even tie into the Bear Mountain Parkway, because that is the extension once you get north of the Ansville Circle Bridge. Right. So it is important. Right. Okay, recreation. Anything new on the agenda, new on the board? What's going on?
Yeah, well, for many years, I think we put up something big every year from what I can recall. This year, and this is no exception, despite what I said about the fact that we are pulling back on spending, but we've had a project on the books for a new youth center down at 9A by the Cortland train station, right next to the hockey rink that we had put up some time ago, and next to the New York State Troopers barracks.
Is that on your Cortland Access channel? I always see you standing there in this hockey jacket, it looks like.
That's still around?
Yeah, it's still around. I see that occasionally. Now, isn't the current youth center located in Montrose, right? It's called the Youth Canteen. Is that still the name being used?
It's a A-frame house that I believe was a Mr. Kaufman, but I should know his gentleman's name. But I don't think that's going to be available to us, you know, too much longer. And we knew that, and fortunately, the person who owns the building gave us sufficient time to redo our plans. And we're putting up a 5,200 square foot new building.
Oh, you're going to be actually, this will be a new addition that's going to be built. I shouldn't say addition. This will be a new edifice that's going to be built on right next to the roller skating rink.
Right.
So that's on the entrance to the train station?
That'll be along that strip where the
state police are.
In the back, yes. And so we'll have basketball courts, we'll have rooms for various youth to use. You know, if I'm Joe